Date Adventures. When Sukari is picked from the tree she has lived in her whole life, she feels scared and alone. As her adventure unfolds, though, she comes to realize that she has a very special role to play. Date Adventures will have young readers captivated as they learn about the practices and blessings of the holy month of Ramadan. To all those who fast for the pleasure of Allah. Brrr! It's quite chilly today, said Sukari, snuggling closer to her brother Medjool. Medjool was older than Sukari and liked to think he was smarter too. Yes, he said in his older brother voice. The cooler weather means that the season is changing. It's almost autumn. Do you know what that means, Sukari? That we should make ourselves jackets with the leaves around us? Asked Sukari. Medjool laughed. No, Suki, it means we will be picked soon. Picked? Sukari asked worriedly. Medjool heard the anxiousness in his sister's voice and rushed to reassure her. Yes, do you see that we are soft and juicy now? Soon we will be picked and begin our adventure. Sukari did not feel as excited as her brother about the adventure he was talking about. She was just going to ask him about it when they saw many people coming into the date farm. Medjool, what are all those people doing here? Harvesting, replied Medjool. They will pick all the ripe dates from the trees. What happens to us after we are picked? For once her brother shrugged. I don't know, he replied. Medjool put his finger to his lips and pointed. A man harnessed himself and was climbing up their tree. Sukari and Medjool watched as he climbed higher and higher until he reached the lowest bunches of dates. Then he began picking them and dropping them into the basket at his waist. Suddenly a hand touched their bunch. One by one they saw the friends around them falling into the basket. Sukari tried to hold on to Medjool, but the hand pulled her away and she fell through the sky. After what seemed like forever, she landed with a thud. Sukari rubbed her head and immediately looked around for Medjool. She was shocked by the sight that met her eyes. She was surrounded by thousands of dates, and still more were dropping into the basket. Medjool, she called, but she knew he would not be able to hear her among all the other dates. Sukari felt like crying, but forced herself to be strong. She would try her best to find her brother. At that moment, everything around her began to shake, and she realized that the man holding the basket was climbing back down the tree. Then the shaking stopped, and she heard the man say, Ramadan Mubarak! Another voice responded, Ramadan Kareem! Did you see the moon last night? Yes, Alhamdulillah, we saw the crescent, which means the month of mercy has begun. This month of Ramadan is so blessed that even though we are fasting and not eating or drinking anything from Fajr until Maghrib, we still feel so peaceful. Indeed, you are right. Why don't you and your family come and have iftar with us on Friday? Oh, thank you. We would love to come. Sukari found the men's words strangely comforting. She liked what she was hearing about the month of Ramadan. It seemed to be a month filled with warmth and kindness. After some time, Sukari heard a deep rumbling sound and realized they were moving. She looked around and spied a small hole in the side of the basket she was in. She peeked out and saw that they were on a truck. There were baskets and baskets of dates all around her. Sukari heard someone speak. She strained her eyes and made out two figures. There was a man driving the truck and a boy sitting beside him. Are you okay, son? Yes, Baba, it's very hot today. Yes, it is. You are young, so you don't have to fast. Are you thirsty? A little, but I feel like Allah is giving me the patience and strength to continue. That's great. It's true that Ramadan is the month of patience. Sukari smiled. The more she learned about the month of Ramadan, the more she liked the sound of it. I will also try to be patient and strong, she thought to herself. She decided she would begin looking for Medjool in her basket first. She started walking slowly from one side of the basket to the other. She asked other dates if they had seen him and called out his name, but she couldn't find her brother anywhere. Disappointed, she sat down. Sukari had been so busy searching for Medjool that she hadn't realized the truck had stopped. She peered out of the hole and saw that it was dark now. She saw a group of people praying in the distance. The driver and his son were with them. As she watched, the driver finished his salah and opened a bag next to him. He took out some food and offered it to everyone in the group. The other people did the same thing. Then they all sat together to eat. Sukari's disappointment melted away as she watched them share food, smiles, and conversation. She noticed that some of the men were dressed in worn and torn clothes without much to share, but each person seemed to care more for the other than themselves. The men were particularly nice to the young boy, offering him fruits and sweets. Sukari realized that she had not even thought about the other dates around her. She looked at them now and saw some dates huddled together. Others were sleeping. A worried-looking date caught her eye. Sukari smiled at her, and the date smiled back, her worried expression disappearing as she did. The next thing Sukari knew, it was daylight. She could hear a lot of noise. She rubbed the sleep out of her eyes and peered out of the hall to find that she was surrounded by the hustle and bustle of a busy street. She saw many people, bicycles, cars, and shops. Then the whole scene turned sideways, and Sukari realized they were being tipped out of the basket. "Ouch!" a familiar voice shouted as she landed on him. "Medjool! Oh, Sukari, it's you! I guess I can forgive you for almost squashing me." Sukari hugged her brother happily and he laughed. "Are you okay, Sukari?" "Yes, but I am so happy to have found you. I can't wait to tell you everything I have learned about Ramadan." Medjool listened carefully as his sister told him about her adventure and what it had taught her about the blessed month of Ramadan. "I am so proud of you," he said when she had finished. "You've really grown up." Sukari smiled happily. Then a thought came into her head. "Medjool, why do people fast in the month of Ramadan?" Medjool pointed across the road. When Sukari looked, she saw the gate of a masjid. There was a sign on it that read, "Ya أيها الذين آمنوا كتب عليكم الصيام كما كتب على الذين من قبلكم لعلكم تتقون." O you who believe, fasting is ordered for you, just as it was ordered for those before you, so that you may have taqwa. Be God-wary. Fasting protects the mu'mineen from bad deeds, Medjool said. It also reminds them of their blessings, as they feel the hunger and thirst of those who do not have food. "Wow," whispered Sukari. "I want to be part of Ramadan somehow." "Inshallah you will be, Suki," replied Medjool. As evening approached, they heard the date seller calling, "Fresh dates! Fresh dates! Break your fast today with these fresh dates." A woman and her 2 children came by. "Let's pick some of these dates to give out at the masjid, children. You can each hand them out after Maghrib and Isha Salah. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wasallam has said, that one of the best foods to break your fast with are dates." The children reached out excitedly to fill the bag with dates. Sukari stood extra tall, hoping they would pick her. She wanted to be given to someone at the masjid for their iftar. It would make her feel like she was a special part of the blessed month of Ramadan. Beside her, she saw Medjool doing the same.